Hello, this is Jill Priest again with, what are we on? The third day of Crafty Christmas. I think I skipped a day yesterday, so sorry about that. But yeah, I'm back again. So today I'm going to be looking at something slightly different because we've done a couple of cards. So I thought it'd be nice to make a little gift box. One of the things that a lot of people enjoy giving at Christmas is your wonderful chocolate orange. So we're going to make a gift box that holds a chocolate orange. And I'm going to use the Peace on Earth bundle. So we've got a series of lovely sentiments. The one that's the most Christmassy, I think, is the Peace on Earth one, but you've also got peace, love and joy, and just general sentiments like sending love, wishing you love, heartfelt prayers for, they always need heartfelt prayers for people, and sadly we also quite frequently need with deeper sympathy. So that's a lovely sentiment set. The dies that go with this are slightly different. They don't fit the sentiments, or not particularly. But you've got this lovely curvy edge die, just outline dies in two sizes, so they layer together. You've got a little bit of foliage. There's a tiny little branch there, which could go in the mouth of your doves. And you've got two different doves. You've also got little envelopes there, which also will fit in the mouth of the doves, and some little stars for good measure. So these are really pretty dies, and actually when you cut those doves out, they come out really nicely. So yeah, I really like this. I'll just put them by there for the minute. So the idea with this particular gift box is that we make it from one piece of A4 card. Now, I was inspired by a lovely demonstrator that I met last year at our Reading Stampin Up demonstrator event, and she showed us how to make a gift box out of a single sheet of A4. Unfortunately, I can't remember her instructions. I've no idea what I did with them, so I've had to make it up myself. And I think my design is just a little bit different from hers, possibly. I think because I've made a slightly separate base piece from the same A4 sheet of card. Anyway, let's show you how to do this. So I'm starting with my trusty paper trimmer, and I have a sheet of A4 Secret Sea cardstock. Such a lush colour, this. Okay, let's put my blades aside there. So right, so I'm going to start by scoring parallel to the long side. So put my cutting blade aside, and I want to score at 2.5 centimetres. So I'm lining it up there, 2.5. A nice firm score. And then at 12.25 centimetres. So make sure it's straight. And score again. And then the last score in this direction is at 19.5, but I'm not going to score all the way across. So 19.5, which is just there. And I only want want to score this kind of length, so about 9 centimetres I've put there. I don't think it matters if we go over that slightly. Where is 9 centimetres? Just get it the right way round. So somewhere around that mark there. Oops, I slipped. Yeah, I don't want my score to go all the way across because I'm going to use this piece in a minute to cut my base piece. But I want it to be a reasonable weight. Okay, so we've got a score just in that area. Okay, right, let's flip it round. And we need to start at this end. And I'm scoring at 7.5 centimetres. No, I'm sorry, 7.25 centimetres. There we go. Quite lined up. There we go, that's better. Score all the way across. And then 14.5. So, all the way across again. And 21.75. So, all the way across. And one more, which is at... Oh no, my maths isn't right there. 28. Oh, 29, that should be, not 19. Okay, so score this one at 29, which is very, very close to the edge there. And you end up with a very tiny strip at the end here. Okay. That's good. Right, so now I want to use my cutting blade. Hang on. Sorry, I've got to find my picture. Otherwise I'm going to cut it in completely the wrong place, which will make a right mess of it. There we are. Here's my little picture. Right. So I need to turn it round and cut it at 7.25. But I don't want to cut all the way across. I just want to cut up to this score line here. So 7.25. Oh, blades come out. There we go. So the blade cuts to this line here. So I want to line that up right onto my score line there, so the blade is in line with this score here. There we go. And then I just need to cut along this score line here with my blade, so that should be 7.25. And again, don't go too far, you just need it to stop there. So you're just cutting off that piece. through. There we go. So that's the square for my base. I'll pop that aside. Get rid of my trimmer. Now onto the scissors. Okay, so first bit is to cut down this score line here. All the way to here. Okay. Then I need to get rid of this piece here. Snip that off. Discard that. So this piece here is going to be the top of my box. And then we've got 4 sides and a little overlapping flap. I need to get rid of this corner piece here. There we go. Get rid of that. And then we need to cut our little flaps. So cutting up to the score line. And then I'm just going to make a little wedge shape so that when we fold it all up, it will fit together properly. Like that. Ooh. There we go. And cutting up this fold line here. Make a wedge. And another wedge on that side. That's it. And on this one, wedge, and there. So, get rid of those. And then this corner here, again, just make a little wedge. And on this long skinny flap, a wedge on that corner, and a little wedge on this corner here as well. That's it. Now that piece is going to be tucked inside, so again I need a nice little wedge. Try and make this wedge even on both sides because this one is actually going to show. Yep, I think that's about even. Okay, and then a little wedge here. Cutting up to the fold and make a little wedge there and there. Oop. And lots of little wedgy bits all over the place. One more here. And here. And finally this edge here and at the bottom. Good. Get rid of all those little bits. So you end up with a shape like this. And a square which is going to go on our bottom. So next bit, trusty bone folder. And let's start bending in these flaps. So this little narrow one. And then just bend them all the way round. Just burnish each of the folds like so. One more here. And then these top ones, that needs to be quite firm because that is going to go back on itself to just reinforce that top edge. And this one, there we go. Then the top flap, and the bottom flaps. There we go. Right. So I'm just going to glue these flaps down because those are the reinforcing bits. So glue on here, and here, and here. Press those over, nice and firm. I quite like to use tear and tape when I'm making boxes because this tape, which is like a double-sided sticky tape, does make things nice and firm. It doesn't have the wibble that the wet glue has. Now, wibble is really useful when you're trying to get layers lined up and that kind of thing. But when you're trying to get things to hold nice and square, it's good to have an instant contact like you get with the tape. So I'm just putting this piece along the edge of my really skinny little flap. And just burnish that on. There we go. Peel off the backing. And we're going to make this into the box shape. So that one goes onto there. Make sure it's all nice and square. And those points meet up there, and those points meet up there. I'm happy with that. Right, so now I'm going to make the bottom. So I just put a bit of glue onto those corners. Flap those onto each other. Now, this is the bit where it all moves about a bit. So you want to open up your box and use my bone folder and just rub the glue in there gently to give it a bit of contact. Make sure that's nice and square, and you can use the square that you've already cut to make sure the bottom of that box is properly square. And once you're happy with that, just put some glue on the bottom of the box. Do that. and stick your square down so that you're concealing all those edges. Which gives you a nice neatly finished bottom on your box there. And again, you can use your bone folder to just press everything into position. Nice and firm. Or get your fingers in there. Yeah, that feels firm. That's good. Just check it fits in properly. Hurrah! And then that will close over the top like so. Okay. So the next bit, I've got a box, but it's a bit bare, to be fair, isn't it? So we need to decorate this box, make it look pretty. Now I have got several pieces that I have cut here, my layers to decorate the box with. So this paper that I'm using here is one of the Peaceful Garden papers, and they're really lovely shades of soft blue and Secret Sea, Misty Moonlight, lovely doves and flowers. So really pretty. This square piece I've got here is, so the white layer is, where are we? 6.75 centimetres by 6.75 centimetres. So it's a nice square. The designer series paper, pattern paper, this one is 6.25 square, so 6.25 by 6.25. Max size is quite pretty too, but sadly we're going to have to hide that. Okay. And I just pop that square onto the white layer. Lovely. So that one's going to go on the top of the box like that. There we go, I'm in shot. And then for the side panels, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of pattern paper, and those pieces are 6.25 again, and this time by 8.75 centimetres. Okay, so those are going to go on the 4 sides of the box, and we've got a white layer to go under each. So 4 white layers, and those ones are 6.75 centimetres by 9.25 centimetres. Okay, let's get sticking. That one on there. This is where the wet glue is useful, just getting those layers lined up. It's not quite square, but that's close enough. That's one. Okay. Take another. There we go. That's 2. 3 and one more. There we go. Okay, so I want to pop these onto my box. Obviously, if you're using a directional paper with like this one, make sure your birds are the right way up because it's so easy to get them upside down. So I'm going to stick on 3 of the sides. So this will go on this side. Again, there should be a little border around so you can see the secret sea box behind it. And we'll put one on the back. Good. One on the side. So I'll put this one on the side. So this piece obviously goes on here and this piece on the top here. But before I do that, I want to attach some ribbon so that we can close it. Now, the ribbon I'm using is a cloud cover ribbon. Pop that out the way there. I'm not sure that this is actually still current. Faux linen. Oh yeah, I think it is. And you want 2 pieces of about 21 centimetres. So just grab my ruler. Ooh. 21. Use my little sharp snips because they're sharp enough to cut the ribbon. There we go. Right, where's my tape? So I'm going to fix my ribbon first of all before I fix the covering pieces on top so that the ribbon is on nice and firmly. And I just pop that piece there, get it in the middle of that side. And we'll pop our piece of tape over the top. That's good. And we want our other piece of ribbon to line up with that. So make them the same length. That's just slipped out. Come back, ribbon. All is forgiven. Let's do it about there. There we go. So again, I'm going to burnish that piece of tape nice and firm. Remember, by the way, not to stick it too close to the edge, because you want to be able to cover this tape with your square that I'm going to stick on there in a minute. In fact, I might as well stick it on now. There we go. Gluey, gluey, gluey. Get that in the middle of the square there. And that's trapped the edge of the ribbon underneath it. There we go. This one's slightly harder to burnish. I need to put a finger underneath. So, remove the backing. There we go. So we've now got a little box with ribbons to tie it closed. Now, that's quite a pretty box, but I think we need a little bit more, don't we? So I'm going to pop a decoration on the top of this box, and I've cut some little pieces to help me decorate it. Okay, so of those larger dies, I've cut one in Secret Sea. I've cut the slightly smaller one in white cardstock. I've cut me a dove in white cardstock, and a piece of foliage each in cloud cover and in Misty Moonlight. And then a very tiny one. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the tiny one though. That's also in cloud cover. So next thing to look at is to get that sentiment stamped in place. So I've mounted the Peace on Earth onto a photopolymer block. So that will fit about there, and that will give me just a little bit of space to decorate on that side. I want my stamping mat. Here we are. So let's bring that into play. Pop my die cut tag there. And I'm going to use, I think, Misty Moonlight ink for the sentiment. Tap, tap, tap. Ink that up. And then line it up on that edge of the tag. Good. I'm happy with that. Let's close up our ink. I'm actually going to give my little dove a wee bit of decoration. So let's grab a blending brush, and here I'm using Cloud Cover ink. So a little bit of ink on my blending brush and just rub gently on the edges of the wings there, just to give it a little bit of colour. And the tip of his tail. If I just lift that slightly, I can get that wing tip as well. A little bit more. Okay, I'm also just very gently going to shape those wings a little bit. Shape the tail as well. Shape that wing that way. There we go. So we've got a little bit more 3D to our little birdie. And a little bit of colour on him as well. Too much, that's better. Okay, so he's going to go on there. I think we could do with a little bit of colour around the edge of this label as well. So I'm going to use the Cloud Cover ink again. Just maybe not Cloud Cover. No, let's go Misty Moonlight. A bit off, we don't want too much, just a little bit gently around the edge. A bit more. That will help my dove to stand out from the white tag, so he doesn't blend in too much. There we go. I'm going to stick this one on. There's my glue. There we go. There's a lot of edges to line up, but looks quite beautiful. My dove is going to go here, and I'm going to put him on some dimensionals. I've got a funny bit left there, so I'll chop that up. And my little bits of foliage are going to go underneath him. So something like that. And that. Okay. Maybe not quite so spread, and I need to cut those a bit shorter, don't we? So something like that, I think. Let's just glue those two down. Just a little bit along the base there. Oop. Good. And the same with the Misty Moonlight one. Okay. Stay. And we need some dimensionals for the back of my little dove. Enough. Yeah, I want to bend that wing down a little bit, so I'm just going to put those two pieces of dimensional on there. Pop my little dove on. Just there. That's good. You could even use these little pieces that I've cut off, but I don't want to go too far. I'm going to leave those off, I think. And we won't use the tiny one either. Still need a bit of bling, always need some bling, so where have I put that? There they are. Okay, so I've got iridescent pearls, basic jewels. These are great because they will just go with everything. If I can get it out. Oh, there's a couple coming off there. Never mind, I'll deal with them later. Right, where's my textbook? Use this. And I'm going to pop the slightly larger ones just down there, over here, maybe there. Let's see how we go with that. No, that's lost its sticky, that one. Let's use another one. That one's definitely sticky. Down there. And one more, because it always looks better in odd numbers. Stuck it to my finger. Don't like that so much. I think I might just goodness me. These little things are getting everywhere. Just take that one off. Just go with 3. There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And then this is going to go on the top of my box like that. So I think we'll use some dimensionals. Bit in the middle. There we go. Take off the backings. Make sure that's nice and centered and straight. It's not centered, not even vaguely. There we go. Happy with that. Okay, we can open our box, pop our chocolate orange in, and then tie ourselves a bow. Which way is it going to go? That way. It's going to go that way. The ends are a little bit long, so you could trim those down if you wanted to, but that's the finished box. So obviously you can do that with all kinds of different decorations and different things. So here's one I've made using the Delicate Pines DSP, Designer Series paper. Unfortunately, this ribbon is definitely discontinued now. Don't make that one anymore, but I thought it looked nice with that paper. And this one I've decorated using a similar tag to the removable bauble card that I did on day 2, and it's got plenty of space to write on the back, so when you give it to whoever the lucky recipient is, you've got a space to write on. There we go. So 2 different chocolate orange boxes. Hope you like those. Yeah, so that was Crafty Day 3. Hopefully I'll see you again very shortly. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas. Bye bye.